All right. Good morning, everyone. We're trying something new this week, as you can tell. Sorry for that lull. We decided to try to go live on our Facebook page. So we're hoping that you all can join us as you kind of wake up on this Saturday morning in Atascadero. I'm here again with our lovely Tori Keene. And we're just going to jump into a few different topics this week. First up, we chatted a little bit last week in our video about the 1% sales tax that Atascadero did approve to put on the ballot this week at City Council. So, Tori, I just want to talk a little bit more about that. We had the City Council meeting. There were a few things that came up, some conversation. Just where did you fall on all of that? What are your opinions?
So I talked last week about the 1%, about how we needed to support public safety and social services like police and fire in our town. But I think that it's really important to remember that this money is going to go into the general fund and it should be used to help everyone in town.
Hmm.
Susan Funk recommended something I think is real that was kind of a good or a really good option, an advisory panel or committee that was made up of a diverse group of Atascadero residents, and that includes some of our more underrepresented populations. And it did not get a lot of traction. The mayor stated that all opinions matter, which is true. But I feel like when we are talking about spending money from Atascadero on social services, that we really do need to reach out and get voices that don't typically get heard. The young mothers who don't typically make it to city council meetings because they're making dinner for kids. The people who are working hourly jobs and can't get off of work to go to the city council meetings. Those are the people that we need to make sure that they know how to get their voice heard with the city council. Email, calling in, and so that really needs to be on the city council to make sure that we don't just hear from the same people over and over again, that we are hearing from a diverse population. Because although Atascadero isn't the most diverse place in California, we do have a lot of people that don't typically get heard. And we need to make sure that we're amplifying those voices so that all opinions are getting heard and all opinions really do matter.
Hmm. Interesting. So you said emailing, calling, but how do we initially spark that conversation with these people that may not typically be heard? How do we find them and say, oh, do you have the ability to email? Do you have the ability to call? How can you be an advocate for them? How would you spark that conversation?
I think we need to find out who in town is starting these diversity conversations. Um, and sometimes just go to the places where we know they are. If maybe the grocery store, maybe we just stand out in front of the grocery store and say, hey, we have a city council meeting coming up. Do you ever talk? Do you ever participate? Not everybody's on social media, and so sometimes we do need to go out and do that face-to-face conversation. Right now it's a little hard. We have to make sure we're wearing our masks, but we can still reach out to people and just straight up ask them. um Obviously, I don't have a lot of experience as a person of color. So, but it's my responsibility to find groups that are willing to speak up. It's my responsibility to reach out to them. I cannot wait for them to reach out to me. If I want to find out their opinion, it's on me to reach out and educate myself
Right.
to get them involved. I think that if we just wait for them to reach out, it's essentially just doing the same thing we've been doing.
Right. Yeah, education is really key. Speaking about kind of the same topic, this week in San Luis Obispo, there was a Black Lives Matter protest that made national news. And I just want you to kind of talk about what your opinions are on that. You kind of talked about, making sure that all voices are heard. But there was an arrest and, a car that was on the freeway. And so can you speak on that, what your thoughts were?
Yeah, so I read some news articles. I watched the video. I read a first person account of sorry, the sun is just really, there we go. Okay. I read a first person account of someone who was actually there. And so I really tried to educate myself on different I tried to really find the truth. And only the people who were there know exactly what happened. But what I can say is from the video, that car was trying to run people over. Um, and it's very disappointing that the that only one person was arrested in something that involved two sides. From the article, it sounded like the back window was smashed, there was a child inside, and the child was covered in glass. Well, the vehicle was very large, and it's totally possible that the 4-year-old was in the back row and got smashed with glass. And I'm not discounting the danger to the child, but that person was trying to run someone over, and a person was on the hood of that car. So the fact that that person is not being held responsible for that decision is disappointing. I think that um, our elected officials, if they're going to be nonpartisan and truly serve justice for all, then both parties involved should be treated equally. And right now, it does not look like that at all. The leader of the protest has been arrested and charged with 5 crimes. And the person in the car who tried to run people over has not been charged. And as far as I have read, is not planning to be charged. So I think that's an issue. I think that's a really big issue. I think that actually leads right into the video of Sheriff Ian Parkinson speaking to the Tea Party about how he doesn't see racism in San Luis Obispo. And, of course he doesn't see it because he's a white cisgendered male. How would he see it? He would never, he wouldn't. As a white person, it's easy for us to not see it. We've been not seeing it for a really long time. It would be like him saying, well, I don't see any sexism. Of course he doesn't. He's not a woman, but there is sexism and there is racism. And I think this arresting of only the leader of the protest and not the driver of the car looks like racism. And while it did happen in SLO, things like that happen in Atascadero. There was an incident at the dry cleaners a few weeks ago that may not have been racism, but looks a little bit like racism. And these are the kinds of conversations that we need to have to prevent it from happening again, and to educate people and make people realize that it does happen here, but it's also fixable. And so that leads back to, yes, all opinions matter, but right now there are certain populations that are not being listened to. And as a city council member, I will reach out to them and make sure that they are at the table, because that is my responsibility as an at-large elected official for Atascadero. I will represent all of Atascadero. So not just the people that come forward, but if there's one population that's being represented very well, then it's my responsibility to reach out to people of other populations and other segments of Atascadero and make sure that they're there and their opinions are getting heard too.
Yeah, it's a tough subject to breach, and so I'm really, really glad that you were able to just kind of come out with that opinion and just really embrace that. And I think that's something that we want to see in Atascadero, is someone who is very, very confident in what they believe and what they view. And really someone who's willing to stand up for everyone here. So thank you so much for sharing that, Tori. I think that kind of wraps up the time that we have this morning. I know it's a little bit heavier subjects, but they are so important to have. So like always, if you have any questions for Tori, especially on this subject, it's really important for us to have those conversations with everyone. So if you have anything specific, go ahead and just type it in the comments below or direct message us if you want it to be private. And in addition, if something that Tori said today is really speaking with you, and you're feeling like that she is someone that really would represent you in Atascadero and you want to show your support, our donate button is right up top. The link is above in this video here. And so we would encourage you to do that. And yeah, with that, Tori, I think that we will call it a morning and enjoy our day in Atascadero. And we will see everyone next Saturday.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye.